speaking of crazy stories, this morning I'm scrolling through TikTok, and I don't know, your phone hears you. I don't know why this lady popped up, and I don't know who this lady is. Didn't have a lot of views, and she said it said like the craziest divorce story. And so, let me watch. I like to know people go through more than I did in my divorce. So the lady says, I'm going to tell you a crazy story about my husband. And she goes, one, I didn't know I was married to a psycho narcissist. And I do think that is the most overused word in relationships. That's the go-to with women now. He's a narcissist. I go, that's literally, it so rings hollow now. Like when I hear narcissist, I almost turn it off. Like, oh, you're just throwing words out there. But this lady said, he's getting a divorce, and he said, hey, I want to tell you something. And she goes, whenever you're in the middle of a divorce and your husband or wife pulls the other person aside and says, hey, I want to tell you something, it's never good. Just so you know, it's never, I have $1 million underneath the house and I buried it. I want you to have half. That's never coming out of their mouth. It's always something bad. I was not expecting this story. So she said, when your father passed, he said, I just want you to know that when your mom was staying with us, I ended up sleeping with your mom like 2 days after the funeral. And I went, ooh, I'm going to keep watching. So the story was this. They had 2 kids. The kids slept upstairs. I guess the mom was staying downstairs. And she was working third shift. So she had to work at night. So it's just him and the mom. And I don't know what the age difference is between the mom and the husband. Or the mom clearly had to be in her early 20s when she had this chick. Unless she's like a Kellen Winslow Jr. and the guy's just weird. Just wants to sleep with old ladies. But the lady said the husband and the mom were drinking Captain and Cokes, getting drunk together downstairs, and then they went to bed, and then the husband went to the mom's room and was like, I just want you to know, now that whatever her husband's name is gone, I'm going to make sure you're good. I'm going to take care of you. And then proceeded to take off her nightgown. And then, so the husband said, I slept with your mom. She goes to her mom to confront her. And the mom says, no, we did not sleep together. He came to my room, and all that's true, but we was drunk. I was in a vulnerable moment, and his thing didn't work because he was so drunk. So that doesn't make it any better, by the way. So then the wife's like, and then I realized that couldn't have been a one-off because the mom's still there. They were still drinking buddies. They still were hanging out all the time. And the husband just copped to it and said, nah, I slept with her, and I've been sleeping with her. You know, we don't sleep together anymore, but we did while she lived here. And then the mom said, no, it was just that one time. So she didn't believe her. And she goes, I don't really know what to believe. But, yeah, they definitely did it. And I was just like, oh, my God. I've heard of, what was that? Was that American Beauty? When Kevin Spacey slept with the young girl? That seems to be the norm, is the husband will sleep with, like, you hear the stories of how the daughter brings her girlfriends home from college, and the husband ends up sleeping with one of her friends from college. I've heard those stories. Not a lot, but I've heard them. I've rarely heard of the husband sleeps with the mom right after the dad dies. I was like, oh, wow. This goes back to that joke, the joke I had about the Netflix special. Oh, God, it's my own joke, and I can't remember it. Shoot. Hold on. I got to look up my own dang joke. It's a damn shame. I got too many jokes when you got to look up your own joke. abducted in plain sight. That joke I had about abducted in plain sight. That was where the neighbor came in and slept with basically the whole family. I was like, yeah, this could be one of the not Dateline murder shows, but and I gave you the Cliff Notes version of this lady's story, but that's the gist of it because she was kind of rambling with everything. She was giving too much information. My mother had a floral nightgown, and it was 69 degrees in the house, 69, big shock. And then the way she said Captain and Cokes, and they drank it in the rock glasses. It was just very, very wordy, but just a fact that it's the timing of it. The husband just died. His body's still warm in the ground. And you just go there 2 days later. It makes you wonder, was there some flirting beforehand? Something like that doesn't just happen. There was a friend of mine. You know what? I'm not going to tell the story. It's too personal. But, yeah, I had a friend sleep with another friend of mine. I found out later how it happened. It was very, very similar. It was a roommate of mine. I might as well show the story. A roommate of mine slept with a family member of mine. And I was like, what? And it came out years. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So I can't believe this happened. I'll put it like this. A roommate of mine at one point in my life slept with a family member. And I found out years later it happened. And I was like, what? I couldn't be mad because they were both single. This family member of mine was single. My roommate was single. It was two single people, and they did it while I was in the freaking apartment. I was just asleep, and they were blowing this relative of mine's back out, and I'm going. No, I wasn't mad because when I found out the story, I was like, well, how'd it happen? And they go, it was similar to this lady's story. My roommate just went to the room this family member was staying in, and they end up hooking up. And I said, well, she didn't just do him, right? Like, he did her too? They was like, oh, no, he definitely ate her out. I was like, okay, well, as long as he did that, I'm cool with it. Because that would have been selfish if my family member would have just sucked him off and then he didn't return the favor. So I was still cool with all that. And I understand why he didn't tell me. I was like this. And we're still friends to this day. And I'm not going to tell you who the roommate was. I've had plenty of roommates over my life. Yeah. But I was like, whoa. So I'm not going to say I ain't ever messed with one of my friends' relatives either. I've happened in the past. I mean, I'm old. So it was a long time ago. But yeah, it's happened. Never nothing shady. It's always been single. Person was single, and just so happened that there's a relative that we both know. So